Hello, LinkedIn. It's Ladies Happy Hour. So glad to have everyone join us. If you're joining us, hopefully you're joining us. If you are, let us know where you're coming from, what's top of mind for you. That's what we're going to be talking about. This wonderful, diverse panel. You know, we had so many different ideas about topics that we just decided, hey, everyone's got something different that's top of mind for them. And so that's what we'll talk about. We are missing a couple people. Akshaya couldn't make it. She's had, there's a lot going on in India. I'm sending her my prayers because it's, you know, they're going through such a difficult time over there. And then Ashley Early will join us, but it's like 1 o'clock in the morning over in the Netherlands. So, you know, not going to hold her to it. But so happy to have you ladies join me. Thank you so much. This is like, you know, I do the LinkedIn Lives on Tuesdays at noon, but the Ladies Happy Hour is my favorite because I get to bring all different women together to, you know, LinkedIn, to the business platform to talk about just what we're thinking about. And I think that's pretty awesome. That's why I try to have different people each time. So thank you so much for joining me. What we'll do is we'll go around and let everyone introduce themselves. I'm Jen Ferguson, if you don't know who I am. Thank you for being here. But so I'm Jen Ferguson. I'm the Director of Sales at Inside Out. And I will let Lydia go next. Lydia, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm really not a crazy cat lady, but sometimes Zoe just needs to be cuddled. She's 18 and she's a little old lady, so I let her do what she wants. So I'm Lydia Sugarman. I'm in San Francisco. My company is called Ventive, and it is a complete business platform for managing marketing, sales, customer success, customer engagement, and everything in between. We eliminate silos and stacks. And I have lots of opinions about lots of things.
Well, and that's what I love about you. That's why I was like, oh, we got to get Lydia on, because if there's someone who has another opinion besides myself, right, it's going to be Lydia. So that's awesome. Thank you. Brandy Church is joining us.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Jen, so much for having me. My name is Brandy Church. I am a customer success manager at Inside Out as well. I actually have the privilege of working with Jen. We're recent colleagues, so super excited to be able to join today. And I too have a lot of opinions, so I think I'm in the right place, which is exciting.
Yeah, no, you're definitely in the right place. And look, Sophia's joining us, who was on last one. So that's awesome. Bernadette, it is your turn. Tell us about you.
Well, I live in New York City. I'm a lawyer by training. I've practiced law for over 20 years. And for the last dozen years, I've been in sales of legal services. And I just recently joined a startup called Legal Innovators. And what we do is we want to diversify the legal profession at a cost-effective rate. We find, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I'll give myself a pat on the back there. It wasn't my idea, so I can't claim credit for it. But when I got out of law school 40 years ago, there was a black and white photo taken of our graduation. And when I got my first job, which was at IBM, I put that picture up on the wall and I would ask people to come in and find me in the picture. People would stay there for minutes and they couldn't find it. I said, look, here's where I am, because I was the only person who looked like me in my graduating class. And the point is that if my company had existed 40 years ago, it would have been perfect for somebody like me, who was first generation, who didn't know anything about the legal profession and who really needed to have somebody hold their hand, mentor them, and make sure that they succeed. So that's what we do. And our goal was to try to have a 30% diverse class, and we've got 62.5% women, and ethnic diversity is probably about 50%. So it's a startup, and we're like startup with a bullet.
Yeah, that's awesome. And kudos to you. That's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome. I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for joining us. Ayana.
Hello, everyone. Hi. So happy to be here. My name is Ayana Nathan, and I'm out of the Atlanta area. I work at Siemens as a sales excellence professional. And I've been with Siemens for 20 years, which is all of my career. I've held various roles in sales, and then I spent about 7 years in business and management consulting. And now I'm back in what I would call my passion work, which is sales excellence, or some people may refer to it as sales enablement. And on the personal side, like many of you, I'm big on spending time with family, friends. I do a lot of work with my church and the community. And I'm just really looking forward to gleaning as much as possible from you all tonight. And hopefully I can share some nuggets of wisdom and deep thought with you all as well. So looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. Meg.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. I've got my glass of wine. So cheers to all of you lovely ladies. Thanks for being here with me. Cheers. My name is Meg Alice. I'm also based in New York City, like Bernadette. I am a customer success manager at a workplace ecosystem platform company called Lane. So I'm fairly new at that company. I just started there this year after spending too many years in hospitality, working in sales, events, and account management, most recently at Expedia prior to this role. So this is a new industry for me, commercial real estate, and it's also a startup. So a lot of new things going on for me, but I know there's a lot of wisdom here, and I'm looking forward to listening to everyone's opinions and hopefully weighing in on some myself.
Well, I don't know how much wisdom there is, but there's a lot of opinions.
I have my wise moments, like the little light bulb goes on, and I'm like, oh, that was very insightful, right?
I'm sure the more glasses of wine we all have, the more insightful we'll all become.
Exactly. Of course, isn't that the way it always is for ladies' happy hour, right?
Yep, exactly.
And the amazing Ashley Early joining us all the way from the Netherlands. Thank you.
No, happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. As Jen mentioned, I actually recently moved to the Netherlands, originally from Washington State, spent most of my adult life in California, and now by way of Leiden, just 10 minutes outside of The Hague. I am a sales entrepreneur. I started my own company in January 2020 because that was a brilliant time to start a company. And I focus on doing fractional inside sales and SDR leadership consulting and coaching of SDR leaders to help the next generation at scale. I also run The Other Side of Sales, which is a podcast devoted to the goal of making sales culture truly inclusive so everyone can thrive. So Bernadette, we are going to be talking after this. I have thoughts and we need to connect on a lot of different things. So yeah, just like everyone else here, it sounds like we've got a room full of amazing, incredible, talented, opinionated women. And this is going to be fun. And especially because it's 1 a.m. here and I have a glass of wine, I'm coming in hot. Let's go.
That's it. Do it.
Thank you. And thank you for joining. I mean, it's in the middle of the night. So I sincerely appreciate it.
Everyone's like, oh my God, it's the middle of the night. It's early. I started work at 4. I got up at about noon. I'm basically doing East Coast hours from the Netherlands. So it's not nearly as dramatic as it sounds. I don't want to take credit for I'm staying up. I am not 20 anymore. I cannot do these 14-hour work days that some companies are asking salespeople to do these days. Nuh-uh.
So can we ask what prompted the move to the Netherlands?
Yeah. Honestly, it come down to 2 things. One, I've always wanted to live in Europe. My husband and I have always wanted to live in Europe. And I thought the only way you could do it was by doing company transfer, which classic example of self-limiting belief. 6 months after I founded my own company, I found out about this lovely program called the DAFT. It's the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty, which basically says that anyone who is an entrepreneur or who is self-employed can move to the Netherlands, deposit 4,500 euros in a bank account, fill out a ton of paperwork. I cannot emphasize, it is a ton of paperwork. But they'll give you a 2-year visa to start your company in the Netherlands. Then at 2 years, they'll come in and they'll audit you, and then they'll give you a 5-year visa, and you can renew that 5-year visa basically indefinitely. Awesome. So if you want to move to Europe,
are you resident for tax purposes there, Ashley?
Sorry?
Are you resident for tax purposes there?
I am resident for tax purposes here, so I get the expat tax credit, and I'm hopefully, touch wood, in the next day or two going to get this thing called a 30% ruling. I have spent so much on lawyers and accountants this year; it'll make your head spin. Wow. more than
But
I've
you
ever spent
still
in the past.
you
I'm sure
still have an
about that.
obligation to file in the United States.
I
That's
still have
the
to
only
file in the
problem.
States, but I
Yeah.
don't have to pay state tax. I only pay
Right.
federal tax,
Right.
and the first significant portion, like I think it's into six
It's
figures,
exempt. Yeah.
is exempt. So it's actually, but the tax in the Netherlands are higher.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get this
but
30% ruling on the Dutch side, which should make my tax liability equal to, I've been told, about what it would be in a mid-level tax state in the States.
But
So
you
it's
get
not
lots
that.
of benefits there, though, that we don't have here. That's the wonderful thing.
Oh, I
Plus,
tell people,
you're
I
in the
tell people
EU.
all the time. I
Yeah.
was on Cobra in the States for my husband and I at $1,500 a month.
And now
That's
it's
now
free.
that's now our annual cost.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Wow.
say what you want about socialized medicine. No one's going bankrupt because of health over here.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow.
And did I mention the paid maternity leave
Oh,
and the fact that they will?
She's showing off. She's showing off.
I'm showing.
Yeah.
Oh, you bet I'm showing up now because
She's
I didn't
showing
know.
off.
This is the new thing I found out. They have this thing, and I can't pronounce the word. I'm going to butcher it. But they will actually pay someone to come to your home up to, I think it's up to 15 to 20 hours the first month of the baby's life to help with whatever you
What?
need. They'll watch the baby. They'll do your
Wow.
laundry.
Wow.
They'll cook.
Wow.
In France, you
Covered.
actually
Let's
get.
all
Everyone
go.
gets it.
In France, you
Sophia is
actually get-
moving.
you
Much
get
to think
cash.
about. Much to
I'm
think
coming
about.
with her. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
You
a lot
get
of friends who've
paid.
been joking. I've got a lot of friends who were
Ashley?
joking if the election turned out differently, there was going to be like an underground railroad to the Netherlands through my house.
How much do you have to on deposit?
4,500.
Yeah.
Wow. What?
Wow.
That's-
Gerlinde is running to
example.
be Ashley's neighbor too.
Yeah.
Like
That's really
just
true
got-
because
you just all sold us on the idea of moving. So.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love the
Yeah.
States.
Great pitch.
But it's a good pitch. It's a really, I'm surprised more people don't know about the program. When I found out about it, I was like, it can't be that easy. That's daft. It's too easy. Haha, because the program's daft.
Right.
Yeah, but
All right.
but 90% of my clients are still in the States. I've only got one European client right now. So that's why the later hours, but I'm a night owl. So who cares? And that's one of the great things about sales. If I can say that, you can do it there's a sales job for you, kind of whatever your circadian rhythm is.
Well, and that's true, right? You can literally do sales anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being in sales. Not saying that there aren't any drawbacks of being in sales,
Yeah.
but there's the beauty, right? Give the beauty a moment here of being in sales.
Yeah.
Before we get into it. So we're going to be talking about what's top of mind, right? So Lydia, we're going to kick it off with you. What is top of mind for you?
Oh, gee. Oh,
It could be a learning recently. It could be a challenge. It could just be, what are you thinking about, or what's keeping you up at night? Because not that we use that question anymore in sales, because you never know what people are going to say about what's keeping them up at night. But
I think, I was on an earlier Zoom today with Jeff Bajorek, and he was talking about, this is something that's talked about a lot in building sales sequences, are the breakup emails.
oh yes,
And he completely rejects breakup emails. And yeah, so, if somebody's not, and if you think about it, if somebody's not responding to you already, they really don't care if you break up with them.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative? He had a great alternative, which is basically saying, listen, obviously this is not a good time. This is not the right time for us to connect. But there is something of value here, and maybe you can respond and let me know when is a better time for us to connect at a later date, and just keep them going. What do you all think? How do you feel about emails?
I'm not a fan of the super harsh ones, but I do have a nice one that's like, look, this is probably similar to what you said. This probably isn't the right time. And that's entirely okay. Reach out if I'm wrong and you do want to talk some strategy. But otherwise, I'll go buzz off for a minute and I'll check in like a month or so.
Yeah,
and I just
yeah,
sort
I
of
think-
leave it at that as a little kinder. Just because, you know, you don't necessarily want to bombard them. And, you know, that proves pretty effective. I've got a nice, you know, it's just a nicer approach rather than
Right.
you
You're
haven't
not pulling
responded in
it-
forever.
I was
Outreach
always
release.
I was always taught not to burn bridges. So no matter what you do, just don't burn the bridge. You know, you never know. It'll change. So, you know, break up however you want to, soft, medium, but just don't burn the bridge. And then
I think it's,
and I like Lydia's approach with that.
yeah, I agree with a lot of what both of you ladies just said. I think it's changing the verbiage though too. Like we say breakup email, but really like on my team, what we're doing is planting that point of contact for future reference. So I'm not breaking up with you. I'm letting you know that I'm on your time and I'm on your schedule. So when you're ready, I'm here. If you're not, cool. If you are, even better. But I think maybe just changing our outlook on that a little bit might help us think of it differently as far as like, you know, what you said with burning bridges. You definitely don't want to do that. I don't have time to rebuild that bridge. They don't have time or interest in rebuilding that bridge. So instead of thinking of it as like a breakup, think of it as like planting seeds for the future. The next day, 2 months, what have you. We call them the leads that come back to us, people that we've prospected on my team. My team jokes and calls them zombies, like they've came back from the dead. But it's really because we are strategic in planting that future contact. We want to talk to you when you're ready, kind of thing.
Yep.
I think that's spot on.
like
It's a
that
branding
reframing.
issue.
Oh,
I think it's a branding issue. You're spot on, Brandy. Not intentional there, but because when I teach a breakup email, and I'm seriously going to go after this and find a different name for it because you've just convinced me that's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But when I'm teaching a breakup email, it's doing three things. One is it's verifying, are you the right person for me to talk to? If not, please give me a referral. Two, if now's not a right time, don't worry about it. I'll reach back out in 6 months, or if anything changes, you've got my contact info. Great. Three, if you're not interested at all, please let me know. I will leave you alone. I promise I'm not trying to be a cheesy salesperson. And we're doing that in a format that is not the dreaded alligator email. Do not do those anymore. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google alligator email. It's really easy, and there are variants of it, but don't do that.
Well, give
Nobody
us
likes
the
it. It's bad.
notes on an alligator email.
It's the, hi, you haven't responded to the 10 emails I've sent you. Therefore, I must assume one of three things.
I got those this week, and I blocked 2 of them already.
Bingo.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how you burn a bridge.
That was old when I started this, when I started on this journey in 2011.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I mean, that was annoying then. It's 2021. We're better than this. It's not about, that's the thing I tell people all the time, is being in sales is not about being shock value or getting someone to say yes to something that they don't want. It's about establishing a relationship at scale with as many people who need your services as possible.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Love it.
So Sophia,
I love
was talking about fear of loss. You know, if somebody hasn't responded to you, there's no fear of loss. You know, it's just not there. It's just, I really don't need you right now, and I have better things to do. So, yeah, I think the fear of loss on the recipient side is absent, and that's not a valid reason for, you know, writing a breakup email rather than a nurturing email that is trying to build an ongoing relationship.
Can I ask why everybody's sending emails? What's the point? What happened to the telephone?
Good question.
Well,
You got
I
to meet
think
people where they live. People still live in their
think
inbox.
But people actually do get their voicemail messages sent to them in an email. They can read it, and it says, "Hi, this is Bernadette. This has been 100 years. Let's blah, blah, blah." Whatever you're going to do. But I don't think that emails are necessarily the way to go. And if you're selling to people who are Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, they respond to texts. They don't respond to emails.
Yeah.
So you're spot on. Meet people where they live. There are like I sold into security for most of my career. Email's the only way you're going to get them, and you have to get through 5 levels of spam filters and a couple different admins usually. But you're not getting a C-suite of a major bank on the phone is not going to happen. You have to do it by building a relationship over email. At the same time, I now have clients who are selling to doctors or who are selling to realtors who pick up the phone for a living. We don't do any emailing there. I mean, that's the thing is we make all these statements in events like this and on LinkedIn, and some of it's for shock value and some of it's for just sharing knowledge. But there is that context around who is your buyer and where do they live. If they live on social, hit them up on social. I talked to Evan Patterson the other day. He's an SDR in tech, hits his number every month exclusively off of social. No phone, no email. Blew my mind with how he does it. Killer system.
What's he selling?
He's selling to revenue leaders.
Thank you.
Revenue and marketing leaders. And he is doing an awesome job at that. He's been, I mean, his social game is like game on. And I really appreciate that about him. But, you know, he's selling to the same target market I sell to, right? Or our company sells to. And, you know, they are mostly on LinkedIn and social media. And just like some of the marketing folks have gone over to Twitter, and marketing Twitter is now a thing, right? You know, you have to meet people where they are. And that was 100%. I agree with that, Ashley. But I also believe, you know, depending on what you're doing, a multi-channel approach where you're trying all of the methods is super important too, because you never know what's going to hit. You know, you need that credibility of social when you're selling to that type of persona, but you also know sometimes you're just going to reach them over the phone. So not all revenue leaders hang out on LinkedIn.
I think it's kind of interesting what Bernadette was saying about the phone, though, and you mentioned in your example a voicemail, which I thought was interesting because that implies they don't answer, but the voicemail transfers to email, which it does, or a text. We, like on my team, we strategize our voicemail messaging more than our talk points or talk tracks on the actual call, because we know if we say just the right thing with the right tone and the right enthusiasm to the right prospect, right, that we can hook them into checking their email. And then we've planted that email right after that voicemail. But it's like to your point, Jen, it's like two channels of communication to make that interaction, whether they call us back or they email us. You know, it's up to them. But I thought that was interesting.
But I think the bottom line is, where do your leads come from? I never cold call. I don't need to. I know so many thousands of people. You know, and the people I work with, they say, hey, do you know anybody at this company? And chances are I do. So, I mean, I say, here, call these people, use my name, sell it, close the deal. You know, I mean, it depends. I mean, like if you're just reaching out to random people, if you're just paying for leads, that's a whole different thing than if you have a warm relationship to begin with, and then it's not that difficult.
Yeah, totally.
You just touched on something really interesting that I think and really valuable, the value of young companies hiring more mature, experienced network people.
That's me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, hey, I'm letting my hair grow out.
Not a bad idea.
And I was talking to a company a few weeks ago. I was interested in partnering with them, and I kept noticing, you know, people walking along in the background. Everybody was really, really young, and I said, you know, do you ever interview? Do you have any older people? Well, everybody in our company, 120 people, are under 34. Do you ever interview older people? Yeah, but they just don't fit in the company culture. I said,
don't even.
Do you
culture fit versus the culture out.
Do you understand you're in violation of EEOC?
Really? Yeah.
And he's like, no. I said, you need to bring that to your CEO's attention.
Yeah.
Now, because before you are in deep doo-doo.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to call you on it.
Yeah, I can't even count the number of times I've been told I'm not the culture fit. So let's move on to Brandy, because, you know, it's already 7:24 and everyone has something top of mind, right? So Brandy, tell us what's top of mind for you.
Yeah, that was a great choice, Lydia. It's hard to follow that, but very cool group, by the way. I'm enjoying this. But I would say lately what's been on top of mind for me is collaborative empowerment. And so I'm a customer success manager. So I manage SDRs and BDRs, depending on how you look at it. And for me, it's really imperative to hire people that I can learn from as a leader. Not because I'm inadequate or I don't know how to do things, but because I want to grow and I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And so I'm very strategic with who I hire on my team. And my team is like the best team. I'm going to brag a little bit, but they're a family and they help each other. You'd think they got paid on a group number. It's amazing. Something I really want to focus in on even more and grow, and maybe some of you awesome ladies can kind of help give me some pointers, is collaborative empowerment. Basically making sure that empowerment is a two-way street for every single individual on my team, regardless of skill set. So that's something that's really been on my forefront of my mind lately.
Collaborative empowerment. That's an interesting term. I've never heard that term before.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to
really,
it at the end of this.
I don't really like the word empowerment, actually, because it implies, especially as far as women are concerned, it implies that someone has to give you something for you to feel something. You know, it's not
True.
I'm against empowerment, although I've used it a lot, but it kind of feels like, 2012 or something. It doesn't feel like it's a current word. Because
Language evolves.
Well, I mean, usually women talk about empowerment and being empowered, but that means that someone had to give you that so that you feel that way. I would love to find another word, so maybe we can brainstorm. That could come up with another
maybe
word.
a semantics issue. Like, Brandy, how would you define collaborative empowerment?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I do put collaborative in front of it for a lot of the reasons that Bernadette just said, because I don't want to give you something or take something from you, but I want to create this space where we evolve together. So maybe it's more of like collaborative evolution rather than empowerment, right? Because I want to ensure that, ultimately I want my people to feel empowered, but not by me. I just want them to know that they can run everything and anything they want to. So for me, it's more of creating that space. So I guess evolution would be a better word.
I like that. And that implies that the person has the chance to evolve or not.
Yeah.
And if they don't evolve and they don't collaborate, then that's on them. That's not on anybody else. That's an individual
choice. Yeah.
I like
absolutely.
that. Collaborative evolution. Let's put that.
Brandy.
Let's hashtag that or something.
Yeah, you should definitely.
I can see you writing a book, Brandy, about collaborative evolution.
I need to. Thank you, Lydia. I'm going to have to give it a shot. At least a hashtag for sure.
Yeah, an article, a blog post or something.
You should definitely, you should definitely explore that, because that's a really great term compared to the empowerment thing. Because I do agree that it's like you're empowering people is like giving them something, and that's not owning your power.
Spot on. Bernadette's spot on. They've literally told women like, "Oh, we want to empower you," and it's like, well, we don't really need anything from you, but you to just move out of the way, kind of deal.
I'd love to jump in there. I'd love to jump in because in my years as a consultant, I ran into a lot of projects where we used that word empowerment. There was someone who had a role, responsibility, it was assigned to them, but they were not enabled or empowered. That's a different use of it. They weren't empowered to do the job. And usually all it took was a word from the top down. Please send out a communication, empower them. They already have the title. They already have the responsibility. They know what to do, but the organization is not recognizing it. So I think another part of the empowerment is recognizing the power that is there and giving way to it, allowing it to thrive and giving them a chance. Like you said, you don't want to give them power, but you want to give them space to execute their power. So that's another way to think about it too.
Yeah,
100%. I'd love to jump in on that as well, like +1 to what you just said, Ayana. I had a very similar conversation with someone a long time ago, but we were having kind of this debate about more junior people on our team. And I was talking to another leader, and they said, I don't really understand why the junior people need to feel empowered. Like everyone's empowered. Everyone can do, take on whatever projects they'd like to. And I kind of had to explain the situation to her that they kind of don't know or realize that they have that ability because they kind of have to hear it from you first.
Right.
And then I think everyone's ready to go with all these ideas. But for now, because you're not addressing the situation, which I think, Brandy, you're doing such a great job of even bringing that into the conversation from the get-go. It just, people aren't sure what to do or where their space is or, any of that stuff. So
I have gotten some
if
weird
I can
looks.
jump in,
True.
actually, if I can jump in, because this kind of ties into
Yeah.
something I've been doing actually on other side of sales. We've been, with the rise of, apologies, I'm going to take this a little bit topical, but with the rise of violence against Asian Americans in the United States, which is completely unacceptable on every level. We did some analysis at the other side of sales and realized we didn't have nearly enough Asian American representation on our guests. And that's one of our values and our goals is to make sure that our podcast guests reflect as closely as possible the demographics of the United States, at least, and skewing towards overrepresenting minorities versus overrepresenting whites, and every other white men and all the other major demographics. We try to go across as many vertices as we can. But one of the things that I've had 4 or 5 conversations in the past month or so with Asian sales pros. And one of the things they've said, and Meg, I'm super curious if this has been your experience, and I encourage anyone, shameless plug, please go check out othersideofsales.com. Great episodes up there every Thursday. But I'm curious, a lot of them have talked, Meg, about how in a lot of Asian cultures, the default is not draw attention, to ask a lot of questions, to listen first, and then only when you have all the information and you are confident that you are the best candidate to step forward. And even then, just stepping forward can be an incredibly uncomfortable experience. So to have sales leaders who don't understand that not every culture trains people to step up and take on those projects and to use their full power is in itself a white male-centric idea that is going to benefit only the white males in the room. And a lot of females and a lot of different, there's always exceptions to everything. But this idea that there is only one way to prove yourself in sales is insane. And this has been on my mind a lot lately too, when it comes to quota, because I hear so many people say, oh, well, sales doesn't have a diversity problem, or it's not that bad, because in the end, it's all about the numbers. When in reality, it's like, no, it's about the territory. It's about how empowered you are within that territory. It's about the product. It's about how well supported you are by the company in terms of contracts and deliverables and 1.5 million other things. We like to pretend it's all on the sales rep, but it really isn't. It's the whole team and the whole company. So
I'd like to
a little
ask
bit of a
you,
rant there.
what do you think is the most important thing that a company can do to support a salesperson, such as all of the people on this call? Because every place I've worked, they've said, what can we do to support you? What can we give you? What do you need? But what I need 2 assistants. Nobody's ever given me that. So what do you think is the most important thing a company can offer to help the salesperson succeed in today's?
Is there really just one important thing?
I was gonna say I've got 2.
No, I mean, like, what items do you think are important?
So I'll go with 2 things, because these are at least to start the conversation. 1, listen.
Yeah.
Straight up, just listen. And 2, stop looking for quick fixes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you a process. I'm not going to tell you a tool. It's going to be something like, I'm doing the work of 3 people in 8 hours. And yet my pay is the same as everybody else's. And I'm not incentivized in any way. If anything, I'm worn down and I'm tired.
Yeah.
Listen to that and hear someone who is hurting, who is struggling, who is possibly dealing with an incredible amount of stress, who needs a break. And don't just say, okay, well, what can I take off your plate? Say, okay, let's sit down and do a deep dive on what exactly you're doing in those 8 hours. Because I guarantee you, and I do this with all of my clients, you're going to find things that person's doing they should not be doing. So fine, maybe you don't get an assistant, but maybe we hire 4 sales interns that can take care of all the research to make prospecting 5 times as fast. Or we hire some VAs to help you guys with scheduling, or 1 million other things. But you only figure out what's needed by going in and doing that deep dive. So listen and stop looking for a quick fix.
Oh, I could not agree more. That is so spot on.
Really
Literally, the listening piece alone. I tell my team often, I can't read your mind, and it's a talent I don't want to acquire. So just talk to me, yell at me. If I fall short, call me out, and let's build together, because If I can't hear you and really hear you, I won't be able to support you. There's no way. There's no way. So I love that, Ashley. That was spot on.
I'd like to add to Ashley, because what she said is spot on, but I think if you layer a trait or an ability on top, and that's being agile. So as you listen to them and you try to address their issues, it's going to be one thing in the summertime for certain industries. It's going to be a different type of issue because different things are happening in the market. So being agile and being flexible to adjust. Maybe we need to focus on processes at this time. Maybe we need to jump to technology at that time. Maybe we need to work on our internal back office teams, the resources. Being flexible is the one thing that will help a sales team. And if you're really supporting them, be flexible in how you support them, because that's going to change depending on the geographic region, what they're selling, the type of customers they're dealing with. If you can keep that ability and be ready to service them at any time, now you're really helping out.
It's fascinating to me more companies don't do dynamic quotas.
Yeah.
I do not understand why it's like, okay, we need to hit 1 million a year. So let's divide 1 million by 12 and that's your monthly quota.
That's it. Yeah.
Every market is mildly seasonal. Why are we not skewing it that way? All you're doing is punishing the reps. You want your margins to be repeatable month over month for the investors. I get it. But you're burning out your teams in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say something on that comment too. I'm sure all of you guys have seen it from Vina. Vina, that's like good for you for putting this on a public forum. That is amazing. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
I hate when diversity falls into like an HR bracket or compliance or some other BS topic that they want to put it in. It's like, if you really embraced it to the extent you're trying to display, you wouldn't have to talk about it because it would just be there.
It's value.
It's about the differences that you bring to the table, which is those unique insights. That's your background, your values, like all the things that make you, all the different things have value. I mean, I think back to
but when you say diversity, though, it's the problem is that most people think of diversity as racial, ethnic, sexual identification or a sexual preference, and they don't think of true diversity, which is socioeconomic, neurodiversity, all sorts of issues that people have. And the problem is that, you know, if you just say this is for women, this is for Black people, this is for brown people, this is for whatever. I mean, that is not diversity.
No,
that is definitely not diversity. Diversity includes everybody, including white men. I mean, you have to have a truly diverse, and we don't have that. I don't think a very few companies in this country have that.
Well, because business isn't set up to incentivize that.
Right.
It should be because we
know based on your team diversity and on your client diversity and on your prospect diversity or whoever it is that if you sell to people, like for example, we sell to law firms and well, you just saw what happened to Coca-Cola. The general counsel of Coca-Cola said we want X% of our outside law firms, the people who actually work on our matters, to be diverse. And within X number of years, we want X% to be Black. So, of course, he lost his job. He got, and nobody's talking about that thing, which was an incredible game changer that people were kind of like said, hey, this is interesting, but it didn't happen. Wow. So, I mean, there are other companies who have done this, like Microsoft. And the question is, if your bonus is based on this, if your, if your outside counsel's bonus is based on that, then people will do it. So money talks.
Maybe he should have just did it and didn't say what he was doing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's performative versus value, right? When it's performative, it's not going to stick. It's going to be some talking point. It's going to go something in the wind, whatever in the wind. But when it's of true value, and I could not agree with you more. If diversity is diversity of thought, not diversity across axes. Now we have to rely on axes as a way to get there because we don't have a good way to measure. Okay, because then you end up with like the 27 personalities and Myers-Briggs, and it's like, okay, you can't. I don't want to do that either. But I think the other thing too is around, especially on diversity, and especially in sales. The hardest thing we've got two huge problems. One is we've got a straight up branding marketing issue where people think sales as a career is Wolf of Wall Street and Glenn Ross and just smarmy, nasty people. Yeah. So people are scared to come in. One. 2, once people get in, our cultural issues make it harder for people of these non-neurotypical, non-middle-class white male backgrounds to progress up into leadership roles, which means there's less visibility going forward. So it's a really interesting kind of dual challenge, but all this stuff around it, I find it fascinating. We've spent the first 40 minutes just talking primarily empowerment and empathy and, diversity in these things. We're all thinking about this. We're all buying it. We're all trying to figure this out.
But this is top of mind because of what's happened in the last year. We're coming on the first anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Yeah. There are going to be things that are going to happen. We're all going to have post-traumatic stress disorder reactions at about that time, an anniversary reaction. And if you don't, then maybe you don't have any feelings. I don't know. But
or you suppress them.
There's COVID, yes, but they can come up psychologically, whether you want them to or not. Right, then there's also COVID that we've suffered from. So, a lot of people psychologically, I think that May might be Mental Health Awareness Month. This is a month where we really should be paying attention to what's going on internally. I met a psychiatrist, an African-American male psychiatrist once, who said that every year people should have a checkup from the neck up, whether they needed it or not. Go see somebody.
I like that. Checkup from the neck up.
A psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a social worker, someone just to talk to somebody who does not have a vested interest in the outcome so that you can deal with whatever it is. So when you go get your annual physical, you go make an appointment either through your employee assistance plan or you call your medical people and say, I need a referral to someone, because I think it's very important. And right now there's a lot of things that are still going on. People are hugging each other for the first time and they're crying.
Yeah, that disconnection that's happened over the pandemic. And then a lot of people experiencing that anxiety of even the thought of going back to the office and back to work. While you may miss people, there is I thought it was like a 79% are experiencing anxiety. It's just the thought of walking into an office. Yeah. Because it's just so people-y, right? Yeah. And just the thought of that is, is creating this anxiety as we're discussing it during Mental Health Month.
No, and if in the Netherlands, we're about a few, I can't keep track of the phases, but we're behind you guys. So we're at about 30% have had their first vaccine. They're saying we're all going to have it. We're all going to be able to get it by July 1st. We'll see. So we're just starting to reopen. And as somebody who does deal with anxiety, who does have a history of depression, who did absolutely have a depressive episode last year caused by COVID, which was crazy intense. Nothing like anything I'd experienced before. The closest I've come to a panic attack in 2021 was at the grocery store a couple days ago, when all of a sudden it felt like there were 30 people around me. And even with a mask and everything else, I had to leave. I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. Bye. Too many people.
Ashley, I'm going to say something that I don't want to offend you, but it just reminded me. One of the words that a lot of people have used during this last year is how crazy things are. And
absolutely,
if we are being sensitive about diversity and neurodiversity and people with issues that may relate to their mental health, to use the term crazy is actually not the best term to use. And I see it all the time on television. Jimmy Fallon uses it all the time. All of the people on, television use it. How was your year? It's been crazy. Let's try to get away from that, because there's some implications there that people may find offensive. And I'm not just saying it to you because even I've used it sometimes, but I have to catch myself. And
no, I actually worked insane out of my vocabulary for that reason. So totally understand. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with you on crazy, because I think colloquially now it's a little more like just things are really wild that's and exciting.
But that's like calling a group of women guys, which also is one of my bugaboos. I can't stand it. Hey guys,
I'm curious on that though, because I'm curious, because I'm interested, and maybe the rest of the group or something. I'm not certain I buy that. I understand the historical context of it. I'm not sure if that's how it's commonly currently used.
Guys?
No, guys, I agree with. I'm working on that myself. That's
Yeah.
trying to be better. Yeah, I'm using y'all a lot more
If
because
you're
that
from
is
the
just a
South, you
useful
say
word.
y'all. I was just going to say, if you're from the South,
Me
you say
too.
y'all.
Yeah,
Y'all.
I'm from Washington State and I
Hey, y'all.
use y'all. It's
Well,
just
personally,
useful.
I'm from the South, and I don't like having you all being appropriated by just everybody.
Yeah. Understood.
I took
Understood.
a
You can
diversity
roll,
and
hey.
inclusion
Y'all.
class, and they said y'all was the most inclusive term that you could say. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all.
you know, it's neutral. It's about as neutral as you can get.
Yeah, it is. It really
We've
is.
covered so many different things. Who is next? I think it's Bernadette. What about what's top of mind for you? I mean,
Everything.
everything.
Everything. Most
Moving to France.
what?
Moving to France.
Oh, I'm not moving to France. Are you kidding? I don't have any intention of, but I intend to go soon because I used to live there, so I know all about that wonderful free medical stuff. And even when I go there now, if I run out of my medication, it costs me €1 to replace something for a month. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, I spent 3.5 years there in the 1980s, and I still have very good friends who are sort of family equivalents because you make your family wherever you are. And I'm thinking of working there for the month of August, maybe July. I'm not sure.
nice.
Nice.
Well, let
I
me know
like
if you
that
come over. We'll meet up.
I like that off-camera pour there, Ashley.
Yeah. Then he's like, "Do you just want the bottle?" Yes.
Well, we got a lot of people who buy into the y'all. So
Yeah, I'm saying that too.
I know
That's why
Sophia will be happy.
I'm giggling silently because the y'all is a big hit. That's pretty funny.
Is it
Awesome.
Is it surprising that it's like taking off? Like out of all the things that we've said, y'all have been like caught the wave.
Well,
Like,
I
oh,
mean,
okay.
The neck up from the neck up was pretty awesome as well.
I
as,
like that one too.
You know, the collaborative
Collaborative
evolution.
Yep.
And the power of diversity of thought.
Yeah.
And listen, right? Listen. Don't
Yep.
be quick to fix, and then be
Yep.
agile. I think is
Yep.
all in there as well.
See? So much wisdom.
So
We've
much
got
wisdom.
some key
Speaking of
learnings
agile,
here.
We need to drink more. There's more wisdom to come.
Speaking
Okay.
of Agile, is anybody using Agile to manage sales teams?
I mean, I think we're being agile.
You're being.
I don't think we're using a formal agile framework methodology where we're,
Right.
you know, like, because I know the difference. You'd use what
Right.
you would use in programming versus
Yeah.
sales, but we are very agile in the essence that we test
I just wonder.
and find what works best and listen to the voice of the customer.
Yeah, I just wonder how, if that might not be a good experiment to adapt the agile approach to sales, where you have us stand up every morning for 15 minutes and Brandy, you'd be the scrum master, and where's everybody at? Who's having problems? And, what do you need help with? And that helps you adjust your sales quotas accordingly. It seems like it would really lend itself to the basic framework anyway of Agile would really lend itself to managing sales teams.
We
sales
use
teams
that.
done that. Yeah, they've not necessarily adjusted quotas, but I've seen them where they meet frequently. They address those topics, very close-knit communication, and I think you're able to catch problems and issues really early on, put fixes in. So it's textbook definition of agile. The teams that do that are quite successful.
Yeah. I do different stand-up meetings throughout the week with different strategy of topic every week, and most of those topics have actually came from suggestion from my team. Can we talk about this on Thursdays?
Yeah.
Can we do this instead? Sure, absolutely. I'll change it 10,000 times if we need to.
And that's
because
awesome.
at the end of the day, you're the one that's in the trenches. I'm just here to make sure that trench doesn't take you over.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
That's what we do, but I have to do that. And I ask, and it's so funny. You almost said it verbatim, Lydia, what I say. Who has any challenges? Do we have any weird things going on out there in lead land? How can I help you? What do we need to work on? Any ideas, comments, jokes? Nope. Great. Awesome. Let me know what you need from me. I'm here if you need me.
Right.
Over and over and over again. So it's so funny you said that.
Even adapting the Kanban board for each salesperson on your team, and
Right.
to help them track where they are in their quota.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as
Yeah.
you let them put it on their phone. I'm learning now the Kanban board on a Zoom call where they have, or a Teams call is where they have to sit is a little laborious, but making sure they have access in their hands so they can do it on the go, that's going to be beneficial. So I agree with that.
All right, Ayana, it's your turn. So what's top of mind for you?
I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So, so top of mind for me, I gave it a little bit of thought, and it's really, if I were to give it a title, I would say like operating or perfecting my modes of service. So like we all kind of have different segments of our lives, our personal, professional, family, anything out in the community. And in my case, I segment my life in like 4 areas: professional, church, family, and friends, and then myself, right? I kind of coin myself as a servant by nature. I love helping people. That's my passion in life. And so I work in a lot of different leadership roles: my job, my church, even in my family, and I am the leader of my life, obviously. But like most female leaders, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, we're called, many times when we're called on scene, we're called to get stuff done, do what we do best, drive things, lead things, get it done, execute. And what I'm noticing now is it's resonating with me more, is that this phase of my life, the wise way to operate is that, you have to realize the situation may not always call for you to do what you do best. It actually may call for you to do what's best for the situation. And instead of just coaching or, driving and being the lead and setting the vision and driving it, it may be just to enable someone or cheer them on or steer them in a direction and let them execute, or observe and just give one bit of feedback and then be done with it. And so just changing the level of service and how much I'm putting out in those different areas of my life, that's literally what is top of mind for me. And I'm trying to do that balance. I'm trying to perfect that. So we all do it, but I'm trying to focus on perfecting that in professional, personal, things out. And so I'm seeing that myself, I need to service myself better right now. And so I'm taking a vacation at the end of this month, but I'm just focusing on doing it is the biggest thing. And one of my friends, I'll just close with this. One of my friends sent me a meme that said, you deserve to be filled the way you pour. I love that. And so if you take that, it's kind of reciprocal. You want to be poured back into so you can continue filling in all those other areas. So that is a huge thing for me. I think I can apply it to my first professional sales career, my extracurricular activities, my personal life, my family life, and how I operate in those different roles. But that's what's top of mind for me. I am literally working on that as we speak.
I love that, Ayana. That was awesome.
Nice.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And it's such an important skill, right? Because the same skills that you're talking about are the same skills that you need when you're leading managers or leading leaders.
Right.
Where you can't go all in. You have to empower. You have to step back and allow people
or manage up and
manage up to allow people to succeed or fail or to learn things, or taking a step back and allowing someone else the space to do their thing and shine.
And it's what's best. Actually realizing that is what's best for the situation.
That is what's best for the situation. And not everyone gets that, especially new sales leaders, right? That's something that you learn over time. But those painful things at the beginning, because I went through the pain, is sometimes, okay, if you take over, then you're not allowing that person to thrive.
Yeah. And you feel like it's not going to get done, but you just have to trust. Someone let you do it. You got to let someone else do it. And so, and it can be done. You can still get it done, but just in a real different way. So, I'm actually being challenged to do that literally in every area of my life. And I like it. I like it. I'm not
one. That's an excellent point.
I do like the fact that you put yourself there. also, because
Yeah.
the self-care is so important, because especially if you're really competent, you tend to like, yeah, I'll do it, because you can just do it faster and better. But every time you say yes to someone else, you're saying no to yourself.
That's so good.
It's so important that you just take care. I mean, you're down in Georgia, and I heard Stacey Abrams, somebody saying, well, what's next? And she's, after that election, and she says, I'm taking 30 days off and I'm going to be unplugged. And I saw that and I said, I'm so happy to hear somebody say that, because she recognized that she needed to just unplug, unwind, watch trash TV for 30 days to, take care of herself. I love that. And that's great.
Self-servicing. It's, if you think it's self-servicing, you're servicing yourself. And so where you serve everyone else, you also need to serve yourself so you can continue to serve everyone else. Right. So that's it.
And I love that. And especially the part about, you deserve to be served as you as you pour, right? It reminds me, my kids have a value that they sort of live at school. That's the bucket filler concept, that if you're going around filling other people's buckets, you're also filling up your bucket.
Right.
But if you take from someone's bucket, you're also taking from your bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of this powerful thing that they've been following at school, that, they bring home, and I'm like, you're filling my bucket.
I love that post that you did for that, Jen.
Yeah. Oh, that was forever ago. My bucket filler post.
Yeah, that was a good one, though.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and Sophia says, actually, one of the reasons I love both Jen and Brandy, we all have different perspectives and experience that bring different light to each situation. We can lean on each other to create a wholesome effort. There are so many great comments here, ladies. So when you get a chance, because we're starting to run out of time, when you get a chance, please go back and sort of review some of these comments and maybe respond to some of them, because I think you'll really enjoy that, especially with all of the awesome feedback that we've been getting from the folks who attended. So, Meg, tell us, what is top of mind for you?
Very, very quickly. So one, we already kind of addressed, which I really appreciate. I feel seen by the group. The violence against Asian Americans is very scary. And, it's been happening in large cities where there are actually large Asian populations. So that's kind of a fear I'm trying to overcome, living in New York City, which is one of the places where it's been happening. So I appreciate this group touching upon that. But secondly, and I'm not going to, be as eloquent as Ayana was, but very similar. I kind of took a step back from LinkedIn and all of these different groups and communities when I started my new job. And now that I've kind of got a handle on that, I want to enter back into some of these communities, but I want to be very, mindful and take a very thoughtful approach as to where I'm going to spend my time and what are the right places for me to, do that. So this is one of those forums, and I'm really happy that I did that today. But thanks.
Well, thank you. And I can tell you, I have Sahil from Bravado joining me, not next week, but the week after, to talk about the War Room, which is a new sales community. Sales Hacker is celebrating their 1-year anniversary this week. I'm one of their community leaders, so I totally love how they support women, right? Out of all the communities that I joined during the pandemic, I think Sales Hacker has been the one who actually reached out to me the most or supported me the most by, putting me on that list or this list, and just probably the one that I was least interactive in that supported me the most.
Wow.
Which I found, when I reflected, super ironic, since I had dedicated as a volunteer so much time to some of these other communities. So that's why I'm all in on Sales Hacker right now. But, there are so many great communities out there, and there's definitely room to explore. Thank you for sharing.
Meg, you're not the violence. You're not the only one. I'm actually trying to get more into the communities as well. You don't really realize that you have something to share, but there's a lot to gain from getting out there. And so I'm actually trying to do the same thing as you. Which one should I get involved with? Which ones will benefit me the most? Which ones can I help? You know, I gotta
Yeah.
help, right? So I gotta help sometimes.
Exactly.
I feel you on that. I feel you 100%. So maybe we'll discover some together.
I was just
Yeah,
gonna
sounds
say,
good.
can we just start one ourselves?
Yeah.
Well, I do have a Slack channel in the little ladies happy hour community. It's very small, but
Let's blow
everybody's
it up.
welcome.
Let's
It's not
blow it up.
small, it's exclusive.
Let's blow it up.
Let's blow it up. Well, we can totally do that. I mean, it's just, and it's been around for almost a year or two. But
Okay.
it's like a small group, just
Okay.
ladies, and
Okay.
it's my place where I go vent about things, and they give me support. And I'm very grateful that I've got my small little tribe there. But yes, you are all welcome to join as people who have joined me for Ladies Happy Hour. Ashley, we are at 8 p.m. exactly.
I've sprinkled what's in my mind around. I'm pretty transparent. So thank you
All
guys
right.
all for thank you for letting me climb on a few of your thoughts. It's nice to know that. Well, I think one of the things, I guess I'll say this. Here's what's top of mind for me. It's nice to know that what's top of mind for me is top of mind for other people as well, so I don't feel as alone.
Good.
And that is a great thought to
Cheers
finish with.
to that.
Because
Cheers.
none of us are alone. We're all thinking and feeling and are concerned about the same things. And I think that's one of the great things about doing this and having different women come up
Right.
who, even though they're all different, right? We've got different ages, we've got like lots of different people, but we can all relate to each other in some way.
Right.
So thank you so much for joining me. Cheers to all of you, right?
Well, thank you for
My cup
having
is
me.
empty, but cheers.
Thank you so much.
Mental Health Awareness Month. Make sure everyone's taking time for you.
Doing it.
We've got some great thoughts. Check up from the neck up from Bernadette. What salespeople wants. You need to listen. No quick fixes and being agile. Right. We've got the collaborative evolution. Maybe using crazy a little bit less. and you deserve to be served as you were poured, right? So I think everyone brought some amazing insights. So thank you so much. Next week I've got James Bawden coming, and he's going to be talking about making friends and networking, because James Bawden's out there. He's doing the SDR League. He's got the Lunch Break Media Group. He's got a new gig. He's he's all over the place and knows everybody. But I can't wait to have him join me for that. And then in June 9th, I've got Blinders in Leadership, which is going to be a panel discussion of 6 people. And I think that's going to be super, super great. So hopefully people can join us for that. But thank you so much, ladies. Final thoughts, last words, anything?
I just want to say thank all of you so much for what I learned tonight.
Same here. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
Great to spend time with y'all.
There we go.
y'all.
Yes, y'all. Thank you so much, y'all.
Bye, you all.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.